Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Here we are, back at it. And the controller trolling is thick going into the middle of this holiday season. We've got lots to cover. We've got breaking possible picks for Trump's cabinet. One of them is Palantir, another addition to the Palantir artificial intelligence seek and destroy biometric software. We're going to get into that. Also, the cops now are claiming to have found a full facial of the United Healthcare killer. Now, again, I don't believe this story. We'll talk about some of the dynamics of the story and why this particular story is the front page news. But essentially what's happened is there's been a bunch of doctors that have come onto a Reddit post and basically are roasting this guy and saying good riddance. These were the same doctors that wouldn't stand up against the poison that they gave everybody. But now all of a sudden they're deciding to stand up about some reimbursement that they didn't get from United Healthcare as they roast this dead guy to the point where Reddit actually pulled the thread. So we're going to cover that today. Also, the Don showing off his Robo dog at Mar-a-Lago. This is a new addition after he won the election. This is the shape of things to come. As a lot of truth channels have been saying, it doesn't matter who's in power. Robo dogs are coming, and this is why he added it. It will be the new law and order presidency. I can imagine these robo-dogs will be distributed throughout all the police departments across America, and this will be our new reality. Now, he'll say, oh, we need this because it's for the illegals. Why risk our own, police department and the safety of our police officers? We could just deploy a robo-dog. Wow. So he's already set the precedent. Say what you will, but this is an act of war against the American people. Displaying this robo-dog, this should never be used. It's an implement of terror. People are already afraid of dogs. And then you put it into a robot and you brag about this by buying one and having it patrol Mar-a-Lago. We're going to break all that down today. And more. Let's go ahead and get started. So, here's what's going on, you guys. Are you noticing a trend in the middle of this holiday season? I hope you are starting to see the truth about what's going on. What is the trend? Let's go back into the chat and get your opinion on this. The trend this holiday season is, in the news, missing people, right? Manhunts, facial recognition, mysterious unidentified drones that seem to be monitoring people. Now, it took me a minute, but I was like, where's all this headed? What are these people up to? Why all these stories of manhunts, facial recognition, missing people? You guys, I didn't even cover all the stories. There were many more stories that I just didn't decide to hop on about missing people, but you guys all saw them. The manhunts going on. It's a thing, isn't it? It has become a thing. We had Kobayashi, and now this guy who allegedly shot this United Healthcare CEO, and the other manhunts that I didn't even cover. Maybe you guys can list some of them, because I simply just didn't even start to keep track. All right, I'm in the chat, you guys. This is the thing. Now we're going to talk about what this all means, but I wanted to clearly identify that this holiday season is the season of manhunts, isn't it? Daryl says, Kobayashi shot the CEO. Wait till you see this guy's face. It doesn't even look real. It looks like an artificial intelligence face. It's weird. It looks like those Black Hole Sun faces from the Black Hole Sun video. So what other manhunts were going on over the last couple months that you guys have heard of in the mainstream news? Good morning, everybody. Now, where is all this headed? Well, this is all about facial recognition, okay? It has to be. Predictive programming for the shape of things to come. Yeah, R. Jones, that's a great point. Manhunt, Hunter Biden. Remember, we used to say Bunter Hayden? Remember that? I wonder if that was some kind of, Holy Spirit download. Bunter Hayden. Hiding, right? And now all of a sudden, we have this same thing. They want you to realize that there is no escape from their matrix. Once you've been targeted, you become an enemy of the state. Now, what does the future hold? Well, I don't know, but we've got our finger on the pulse, and we're going to do the best we can to help prepare everybody for how the world is changing. I believe this is all about getting you comfortable with seeing and hearing reports of random people being looked for or targeted or chased down. Okay, there are several movies that kind of depict this, aren't there? And they want to get you used to this so that when the controllers come to a town near you to track down an enemy of the state, you won't give it a second thought. You'll just think, oh, they're trying to keep us safe. There's another one. There's another one they're after. Oh, I'm just going to believe whatever the headlines say about that person. And I hope they catch them, right? This is the programming. Now, I've already seen this start to work on people that I know. They're like, yeah, I think they should pull out all the stops, do whatever it takes to find these people. It's unbelievable. So, what's going on? Well, all of a sudden, they've found this guy's face. This is the alleged shooter of United Healthcare CEO. And there's his full face all of a sudden. And it won't be long until they claim to have captured this guy. But look at his face. Look how clear this image is. And then it doesn't even look real. I mean, look at the cheekbone here. It looks like artificial intelligence created this guy's face. Now, here's some other images of it. And they're claiming that after all this careful planning that this guy did to take out the CEO, that he had a moment of sloppiness where he was flirting with a lady at a desk. Oh, how convenient. As if he forgot there was a camera staring at him, right? And he lowered his face so that she could see his face, to see that he's a good-looking guy and he might get a date while he's in the midst of planning a murder. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's dumb. Okay. Now, I believe this was at a hostel. The one place where he would have been caught on camera. The whole thing stinks. It's just weird, isn't it? Now, yesterday, they figured out that the gun cartridges that they collected off of the street, as if the guy wouldn't have picked them up, right? Well, apparently, they're claiming that he wanted the gun cartridges to be found. Why? Because there were words written on the gun cartridges. Now, as soon as I heard this story broke, I looked up what these words might mean, and I uploaded yesterday's video that most of you saw. Some of you saw it. There's only about 1,700 people that saw yesterday's video. It was after the live show, and I was like, what do these words mean? Now, what were the words that were inscribed on the gun cartridges? Well, let's read down here. The police found bullet casings at the scene with the words deny, defend, and depose engraved on them. And at the point that they disclosed this information, they did not know what it meant. They didn't know what deny, defend, and depose meant. So I looked it up, and this is what I found, and this is the video I uploaded yesterday. those words or variation on them are actually known as being associated with medical insurance. And legally, there are attorneys that go after denied medical claims. And so essentially, these words basically describe the insensitivity of insurance companies to patient needs and outline a strategy to basically challenge these denied claims and reimbursements. Now, since I uploaded that video, the authorities have, I guess, picked up on this, and now they're starting to include this in their news stories. But in the beginning, nobody knew what this meant. So let's take a look. Here's a law firm that I found. Now, this was not easy to find. I tried to Google it at first. I just typed in the 3 words that were on the gun casings, and nothing came up. So I went into DuckDuckGo, and I did like a time frame search. Because unless you do a time frame search from before this event happened, all you're going to get is the event and the news about the current event. You're not going to get older stuff like this. This one was dated September 20th, 2023. And this is how I do my research. Sometimes you have to search by the calendar dates. Now, Google's not perfect about it. They keep giving you current events, even though you've asked not to see current events. But at least it narrows down the choices. But here it is, the 3 Ds of insurance woes. Delay, deny, defend. So 2 of the 3 words. And here it talks about this, the 3 Ds. Have you ever had trouble with insurance claim that takes forever? You're not alone. So many people have had this problem. And there's a book on it called Delay, Deny, Defend by J.M. Fynham. And this is where they get the 3 Ds from this book. We refer to this tactic as the 3 Ds. So, interesting, right? So, the last word in this is depose, which of course is code for to take out or to kill, which is exactly what they're saying this guy did. Now, I keep saying they're saying because this whole story could be made up. But here's what's weird, you guys. Some of the super sleuths out there that you guys are picked up on some strange synchronicities connected to the story that suggested it might not be real or probably isn't real. And that there's some witchcraft programming going on here instead. What did you guys pick up on? Well, there were 47s all over this thing. 47s. What am I talking about? Or what were you talking about? Well, Trump is now going to serve as the 47th president. The hotel was 47 stories tall that he was shot in front of. The company, United Healthcare, 47 years old. And the police secured the area at 47th Street. Now, there's a lot of other stuff connecting this to Trump, which is just really bizarre. Apparently, the CEO was being investigated for insider trading. So you can imagine that if this was real, they were maybe trying to cover up this insider trading to protect the conspirators, other conspirators involved. Apparently, he essentially was working, he actually sold a bunch of stock just before all this went down as he was being investigated. Thanks, Scatter Noise. Thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. Much love to you. Now, here's the crazy thing. We were just talking about insider trading a few weeks ago, weren't we? For those of you that follow the daily shows, we were just talking about this, and it seemed random, but it was something that just popped into my head. I was like, this is how these people get rich. They already know. They basically create the situation, and then they make money off of it. In fact, specifically, I remember having a conversation about when Trump entered the McDonald's, and I said we were tracking the stock of McDonald's after that, and then there was the whole, Ebola, E. coli scare, and we were talking about hedging bets and shorting stocks. Remember all that, all those discussions? And I said, this is how these people get rich. Well, here we are 2 weeks later, and now this is in the front page news. Now, another aspect to this that we were already talking about were discussions that we had about how to fix healthcare. And remember all the times I said we should cut out the insurance companies like United Healthcare. And we talked about having individual people have their own personal lifetime medical savings account. Starting from your first working years as a young worker, part of your check goes into your own account, not into some giant pot that the government controls, an account that you can log into and see what your lifetime medical savings are. And if you get hurt when you're younger and you don't have the money accrued in the account enough to cover your costs, then you can borrow against it. And you get an interest-free loan from the government that then you didn't pay back over the course of your life. And I would think that it would all just balance out over time. That's a much better system than a giant pot that all these corrupt bureaucrats are hired to do all these things. Because with my plan, you don't have to have a bureaucrat, right? You basically take your debit card, which is only authorized to be used for medical purposes, and it pulls right from your account that you've saved for yourself. And then guess what? Our other part of the plan was that if you get to the middle or close to the end of your life, let's say you're in your 60s, and you've had no major medical problems, you get to start getting some of that money back in your pocket because your track record is that you've done a good job taking care of your body, right? And then guess what? Now people have skin in the game. Now people have personal accountability. Why? Because guess what? The goal is, wow, I can get some of that $100,000 that I've saved all the way up until I'm in my 60s. I can get some of that back. $500 a month check coming back to you because you took care of your health. You guys, this isn't rocket science. Governing and presidents are not rocket science. These people are intentionally sabotaging our system and intentionally being greedy and taking all of our money when they could come up with easy solutions to this stuff. You don't need national health care. You need people, individuals taking personal responsibility for their health. The only thing mandatory would be that you actually put in for your health. I don't know what that percentage might be. Maybe they start out with 5% of your check. I remember my first job at McDonald's. It wasn't making a lot anyway. 5% goes into my personal account. And you can't use that money for anything else. It's for your health. I mean, what do you guys think about that idea? I don't know. I think it's a great idea. We already do variations on that. We have health savings accounts, but it's only periphery. It's not the main part of health insurance. This should be a lifetime thing and it should be mandatory. I mean, why not? And then guess what? When you cut out the middleman, which is insurance companies, which is what this shooter apparently did or has pretended to do, then all the medical costs come down. Medical system is bloated with this insurance scam. That's why everything costs so much. So guess what? When you break your arm, instead of paying $10,000, you're going to pay $2,000 or less because they're going to go, okay, the time it took for the doctor, that was, an hour, and doctor charges $250 an hour. And then we used cast material. That was another $250. And then guess what? You get your arm fixed for $500 instead of $10,000. Is any of this making sense to anybody? I hope it is. But they won't do this because we've got middlemen like the CEO that just got taken out, who basically sold off $100 million. Mark, listen closely. $100 million in stock. This was his insider trading investigation. How is this guy even worth that much money? That's right there tells you the problem. That's our tax dollars. That's why he could do that, because they have a successful insurance company that's making a ton of money. That's our money. Health shouldn't be traded on the stock market. I'm sorry. It just shouldn't. And it shouldn't be run by the government. It's somewhere in the middle. It's basically a public responsibility, individual public responsibility, as I just outlined. I hope that all comes through very clear. Now, let's keep going with this. Now, this would be something that Trump could do to revise the medical system. I just gave you a clear-cut solution to the problem. All right. And it's a conservative solution, and it should work. So let's keep going, you guys. Now that you guys see what's going on, there's another bizarre twist to the Matrix. Remember the arrow that we painted over Manhattan and New York? And I showed you that the headquarters of many of the pharmaceutical companies sit inside this arrow. And you got Pfizer headquarters, Novartis headquarters is in here, and Bayer Healthcare is represented in here, and Pfizer again. And then I showed you that the United Nations sits at the tip of this arrow, right next to Trump World Tower, where Bill Gates was a tenant in the early 2000s. We don't know if he ever sold that property. He could still be there. So all I did, because I wanted to see, is United Healthcare represented in here? And look what I found. I just typed in United Healthcare. And here we have an office. Here we have an office. They're all in red. Here we have an office. Look at this. One office right down the center of the shaft of the arrow. Now, these aren't headquarters, because the headquarters for United Healthcare is in Minnetonka, Minnesota, not in New York. But these are some kind of clinics, offices, I don't know. But it's just weird that they're all right around this arrow and that all this is happening. Now, if you think this is a bit of a stretch, you don't think this is weird at all. Oh, this is New York, Casey. There's all kinds of companies. You're absolutely right. But check out the proximity of where they're saying this guy who allegedly shot this guy, where he ran to and where all this happened. Here's the map. And here is Trump Tower, right here. And apparently he shot this guy, ran within a couple of blocks of Trump Tower, and went through Central Park. And off here to the left, just out of frame, is Trump International Hotel. So it was essentially right between the two. Almost exactly. Like if you took a ruler and you measured Trump Tower, which is right here, you could see the stair steps, and you basically drew a line to Trump International Hotel, which is right outside Columbus Circle, just out of frame, and you divided the distance, that would pretty much be the exact distance of the escape route that this guy apparently ran into Central Park. I mean, what are the odds of that? And all the 47s, the 47th president. Now, what is this all about? Let's put it all together. Some of you are already awake to this, and you already know where I'm headed with this. Let's figure out the psyop. Now, I want you to listen carefully. Remember, your identity is being linked to your health care. Remember, I told you this, that the mark would involve your identity and health. The final mark will involve both. Think track and trace and vaccines. Remember that we just went through? Your identity linked with health. Are you seeing the connections and how this relates to this shooter? Where first his mask was on, and then his mask was off. Mask on, mask off. And all of it's linked to health insurance. This guy's identity linked to the shooting of a health executive. And this is exactly how their magic works. They seed these concepts into the mass consciousness with traumatic events, murders, suicides, all these things. And then they continue to take steps to implement the agenda. And somehow it's like a magic trick. There's no accident that first this guy's mask was on and then it was off. That's not an accident. There's something to that. Otherwise, they would have showed him with his mask off first, right? I know this was a progressive investigation, but this is weird. It's too clean, isn't it? It's too clean. So, wow. Now, maybe the lady asked him to pull his mask down to verify his identification, but apparently he was using a fake ID, so I don't know how all this works, but just bizarre. Now, there's another aspect to all this we need to get into, because there was a Reddit post that went up, and Reddit censored it. They pulled it down after a plethora of doctors basically came onto the post and started praising the death of this CEO. Now, why were they praising the death of the CEO? Well, because apparently United Healthcare was notorious for denying insurance claims to deepen their pockets. Look at this. Let's read. Moderators delete Reddit thread as doctors torch the dead United Healthcare CEO. Doctors in one of the internet's top medical communities have turned on the murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in such brutal fashion that Reddit moderators deleted a thread on the killing. Wow. Now, all of this begs the question, doesn't it? The obvious question, where were all these bold and emboldened doctors when we needed them after the pandemic, or right during the pandemic toward the end, when all of our friends and family were falling out all around us from what? Why couldn't they stand up then like they stood up now? Wow. Now, let's keep reading here. The moderators of Our Medicine closed the thread, posted Wednesday after news broke that Thompson was shot dead. Let's see why. The commenters overwhelmingly criticized and satirized the insurer's alleged denial of coverage to sick and dying Americans in order to juice profits. Top comment, which received hundreds of supporting upvotes from other users, mocked United Healthcare's notorious track record for refusing to pay out insurance claims, and is written as a lengthy spoof rejection letter from the company addressed to an unnamed applicant following a careful review of claims submitted for emergency services on December 4th, 2024. It informs them that they are being rejected for coverage because they failed to obtain prior authorization before seeking care for the gunshot wound to your chest. Wow. So this article goes on, and basically Reddit censored the post. This is the world we live in now. Anything true that comes out or anything that actually makes sense is censored. It's just shocking. Now, let's hop off of that. And I'm going to show you a real Robo dog that is patrolling Mar-a-Lago after I check in with you guys. Good morning. Let this chat catch up for a minute. Welcome to Clown World, you guys. Now, I know most of you don't even think the story's real. Here, let's do a poll. I'm like 50-50. It could be real, or it could be that they're using the story to further their agenda about linking your identity to healthcare. Okay. Let's do a poll. Do you think the story's real? UHC story is real. Start the poll. Now, this will be interesting because honestly, I don't know what you guys think at this point. Let this refresh. I don't know about you guys, but it's been chilly over here. It was like in the teens last night. And there were the deer out there. They're back, which is good because hunting season ended. At least rifle season has. So the deer are starting to migrate back in because they know it's at least somewhat safe. I mean, I'm sure they see crossbows, but those are a lot quieter, so it doesn't disrupt the natural environment as much as the gunshots do. And so there they were, 14 degrees. They showed up about 9:30 last night. It got super cold. And there was like a whole herd of them, so that's good. So Let's see what you guys think about this. I take a minute for this poll to show up here. Welcome to Clown World. No blood at the scene either. Wow, says Teresa. That would suggest that it's not real. Okay. He's probably going to be caught purposely. Yeah. They'll catch him. And they'll say, we used proprietary facial recognition software. Right? And then it'll get rolled out to all the rest of us. It's a woman, I think, says Jamie. Could be. Who knows? It just doesn't even look real with the high cheekbones and everything. Yeah, the push for more cameras. They're getting you used to being okay with cameras capturing people's face on film. We saw it with Hana Kobayashi, multiple images of her cruising all around. And the same with this guy. Now, a guy who was trying to avoid detection got caught on camera like multiple times. So they're getting you pre-programmed and desensitized to that so that you just accept it. Like, to me, that's unacceptable. You guys, 20 years ago, we would have been in shock. We would have been like, wow, there's all these cameras like picking up people's faces. Like, there's no privacy anymore. I have friends with social anxiety disorder and they won't even go outside because they're like, I don't want to be on some camera somewhere. That's a violation of my privacy. And they're absolutely right. So most people do not think the story is real. But I think the programming is something that's absolutely real. Because otherwise they wouldn't be making this national news. It's serving some purpose, isn't it? So thanks for the poll, you guys. Now let's get into Trump's Robo dogs. Now I couldn't even believe this. So I was sitting around yesterday and I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do for the show tomorrow? Ready for this? Let's see if we could play this. Unbelievable. Hold on, let me get my headphones. Now, this was just put in. This wasn't here before the election. This is a new edition. November 25th. See if this will play. There it is. Whoa. The cops are back there. And here is the Robo dog. What is their sound here? That thing is creepy. It reminds me of like those, what do you call it? You know those creepy horror movies where people are walking backwards on their hands and legs like a crab? That's what this thing reminds me of. And you remember I Pet Goat 2, where the guy's holding the dog. And I know it's not a Robo dog, but it's on the front of a crate. And we've all been wondering, when are they going to release the dogs? And I'm wondering if this is what this is all about. That is crazy, you guys. That is crazy. So what's this all about? Well, it's pure insanity, isn't it? The horror of an artificially intelligent police dog with killing power prowling around the streets of America. It's nothing to joke about. And yet, for the people in power, it's a joke. For us, it's a dystopian nightmare right out of the Terminator. Let's read this article and see if we can find any clues about the future of America, the shape of things to come. Look, they got the children out there. Oh, nothing to worry about. It's just a Robo dog. Don't worry. Now, I think there was a movie that came out about a Robo dog. I think I watched it, but there wasn't a lot to decode about it. Do you guys remember the movie? Or maybe it was an episode of a TV series I was watching, and there was a Robo dog. Donald Trump's robotic dog is seriously dystopian, and this video is low-key freaking me out. Now, here's the problem. Because the Democrats didn't do it, the conservatives will give him a pass. Casey, why are you picking on Trump? Just forget it. But guess what? If Biden did this, the conservatives would be all over him. This is the problem with the right-left paradigm. There's no moral ground. We simply choose our side and we defend everything they do as normal and okay. Let's read this. So, Donald Trump has a robot dog named Spot guarding his Mar-a-Lago property with the help of the Secret Service. Wow. According to the BBC, the robot dogs have already been adopted by the NYPD and are being used on the front lines in Ukraine. So it's already here. And where did they start? In New York, Trump's hometown. The BBC also says Spot is known for its agility. It can walk up and down stairs and navigate tight spaces. It can even open doors. C-SPAN has been capturing photos of the dog patrolling the property for the past month, and the videos are pretty wild. Here's Spot having a stroll on the porch. Let's see if this one plays. This dog walking around. Now, it's only a matter of time before they weaponize these dogs. Okay? Put gun turrets on them or whatever, and cameras so that the operator can basically be seeing through the eyes of the dog. You know, they'll have telemetry systems and you'll be able to aim with accuracy, and they'll just send the dogs in. They don't even need to send people in. This is the shape of things to come. Spot's battling some bad weather, it says here. This person said the uprising has begun. You see how they're going to just weaponize this? They'll say it's okay because they'll say, oh, Trump is going to use these to go after the illegals. But then it'll just be turned on us. Wow. See if there's anything else in this article. Dun, dun, dun. This person says, wow. I'll put a link to all this stuff, you guys. Don't fall for the right-left paradigm. Always stand on moral principle. If it was not okay for a robot dog to be, for the Democrats to have and deploy, then it's not okay for Trump to have a robot dog and deploy it. You have to step outside of the emotion of this and realize that this whole contest thing is how they advance their agenda. Think about it. Why did we not see any robot dogs at Biden's, residence? But as soon as Trump wins, he's already deploying the messaging. This is what they do. They couldn't get away with it with the Democrats because they were so hated, but then they're going to let Trump do it because they can get it done that way. This is what they want. So, again, I think that this will likely be deployed during this practice, or this is going to probably be deployed during the mass deportation is what I'm thinking is going to happen. And then when the next pandemic hits, they'll be doing domestic raids, which will be applied to the American people. And they'll say it's under national security and health safety is the way I see this possibly playing out. Now, here's the irony. Trump won't invoke national security upon the states for peaceful deportation through the banning of all services. That would be a peaceful deportation, wouldn't it? But he'll invoke national security to raid illegals in the very states that they're giving out the benefits. You guys, what do you think's going to happen? Where do you think all the illegals are heading to get away from what's coming? They're going to the sanctuary states. They're probably all staging in California. They're like, oh, Trump can't touch us here. He can't touch us here because California will defend me. Do you see the irony here? So Trump's going to send military into the liberal states. What do you think's going to happen? Wouldn't it have been a lot easier to force the states to get rid of their benefits? Wouldn't that be a lot less controversial than sending military into liberal states? To me, it's a slam dunk. One solution is passive and the other is aggressive. It would have been much easier to do the passive choice, or at least try it first. And then when he goes to the Supreme Court, he's got the Supreme Court, so they'll rule in his favor. Force the states to cancel their benefits first before you send military into those very same states. I hope you guys are awake to all this, how you're getting played emotionally. So I don't know the future. We'll see how all this plays out. Now, if you think, oh, this is a big nothing sandwich and I'm just ringing alarm bells for no reason. Do you remember Palantir? J.D. Vance, his connections to Palantir. Remember I was ringing the alarm bells about this? Because Palantir is the surveillance state. It is Skynet. It's artificial intelligence using biometrics to scan faces from long distances and targeting those faces with drones. That's what Palantir is. And then remember, we saw a 23% stock jump just after Trump was elected. Palantir's stock jumped 23%. We reported on that. And then we got trolled hard. Stop picking on Trump. There's nothing to see here with Palantir. That's going to be deployed overseas. That's not us. Well, guess who's running for Trump's cabinet, or who's in the running for Trump's cabinet? Another guy from Palantir. Let's read. Who is potential Trump pick? Shyam Sankar, tech executive at Palantir. This is going to be our world now, you guys. Considering President-elect Donald Trump is considering Palantir's chief technology officer, Shyam Sankar, for top research and engineering job at the Pentagon. Sankar, who joined the software giant in 2006, is known for wanting dramatic change to the Department of Defense's overly complicated acquisition system. So basically, they're going to deploy Palantir. Now, again, they'll say this is for foreign, because it's the Pentagon, right? But this is the shape of things to come. They have to practice all this stuff in foreign environments before they bring it home. And if you don't believe me, just look at what happened with drones. Oh, there'll never be a day where they use police for drone surveillance. Guys, think back 10 years ago. Please listen to what I'm saying. Think back 10 years ago. Casey, you're crazy. They'll never use police to use drone surveillance on people. They'll never use robot dogs on the American people. And here we are 10 years later, and all of that's happening. Well, that's all military technology. Right? So, what makes us think that they're not going to use Palantir artificial intelligence to use facial recognition, which everybody signed up for through the national ID, that everyone's thinking is just fine, and that Trump endorsed, to take a detailed image of your face so they can put it in the database and find people like the United Healthcare shooter? I hope you're seeing the whole picture now. We're edging towards the Terminator scenario. If you're an enemy of the state, if you don't get your vaccine like you've been ordered to do, because, they borderline ordered it before. Now they know that 80% of the people got it. They just need 20%. That they can manage with technology and Robo dogs and drones and Palantir artificial intelligence technology. If you don't comply, well, your house will blow up in a house explosion, because we've got to control this pandemic. You see where all this is headed. And no one will come to your aid because everyone's asleep. Because Trump is good. He would never do that. So I hope some people are waking up to this. This is not a Trump bashing channel. This is a channel that is looking at things outside the right-left paradigm. We did just as much criticism of Biden during his presidency. Destroyed the economy, took more of our freedoms, wasted a bunch of money on the climate agenda. But there is no better solution. The only solution is Christ's new kingdom. This is why the Lord's Prayer says, pray that his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's basically us asking God to be our king on earth too, and stop voting for men. But we can't bring ourselves to do it. We keep voting for men. And the Bible tells us there's a way that seems natural and good to men, but it ends up in destruction. There are about 20 verses talking about how men's hearts are always deceiving them. And pretty much every single king that was in the Bible messed up because of power. but yet we keep voting for kings. So we get what we get. This isn't being negative, it's being real. It's the truth, and the truth might hurt, but my prayer is for Christ's kingdom to come, and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we'll see if this guy gets into Trump's cabinet. He's already asking the guy to come. So right there, even if the guy doesn't come into his cabinet, the fact that he asked him to be in his cabinet completes the circle and makes the connection to Vance, who is also Palantir. It confirms what we were saying. It confirms it. So what's in the future? I don't know. Could Barron Trump be the last president, as the books seem to indicate? Well, he's starting to make himself known. Here in this speaking appearance, Barron Trump comes across as much more presidential and moderate than his father, Donald Trump. Maybe he will be the one that will be loved. He will be the opposite of his dad and rule with a different method. And maybe this is why Donald Trump is intentionally coming across as extreme in the way he governs, because it's setting the stage for the last president. Let's see if this plays here.
I'm in the business.
Nice to see you. Very nice.
I gave him a shot.
Now he only says a couple words here. You can't really get a good feel for it, but he looks just like his dad. It's kind of spooky. Let's see here. No, I was trying to see if I could lower the resolution so this will play through clean. But he's super tall.
Hello, how are you? Very nice. Good to see you.
You too, buddy.
Oh, you got him?
No, it's not.
Could we make him into a
So, is this the shape of things to come? Well, this is a long way off, isn't it? What is he, just 18, 19 years old? So we're talking at least another 20 years if we're all around that long. But wow, shocking, shocking, shocking. Okay, I'm back in the chat, you guys. That's some real talk for you. We don't beat around the bush here. We call a spade, and we are headed into a dystopian nightmare. It will all be justified using the illegal immigration and roundup. This is how they'll spark it off and start it off if this goes through. But, wow. Okay, guys, let this chat catch up. Very creepy, right, Maggie? Very creepy. See how much more polished Barron is compared to his dad? That's the word I was looking for. He's polished. And that's intentional because they have to create what's called a contrast. It's contrasting the personalities. That you go, wow, all the great things that Trump had, but he's more polished. He's presidential. So, it remains to be seen, right? It remains to be seen. All right. Thanks, Marion. Marion's got to go. Yeah, we're pretty much, we're just going to sit here and hang out for a bit, but that was the meat of the show, what I wanted to present to you guys. Yes, Sheldon, defund the police to make way for the RoboCops. There you go. Now you're starting to see the agenda from start to finish through several presidencies, right? Because the defund the police started happening during the Trump presidency, and then it took up steam during the Biden presidency, and now here we are again. And so, yes, and I believe that Crystal is right as well, that there could be Elon Musk link. Maybe he's going to start making robo-dogs, right? Maybe his Neuralink will link right into the dog and be able to control its movements because they're already able to, the Neuralink can already move a cursor on a screen attached to your brain. So now they can already move a cursor on a screen. So what if they just Neuralink these cops and they can control the dog remotely in real time. I mean, you guys, this is insane. Insane. There should be an amendment to the Constitution that forbids technology that further encroaches on the privacy of American citizens. This should be part of our constitutional right to privacy. It should be forbidden. There's something similar to this in the TV series Dune. There's a Dune offshoot TV series. I don't really like it. It's super witchy, but I'm trying to watch some of the episodes to decode it. And it's straight up witches' covens, you guys. This is where we've come to in TV entertainment. Like, everything is a witches' coven now. All right. And it's like popular, and people are into this stuff. Anyway, in the Dune universe of this new TV series, they essentially outlaw and ban all artificially intelligent technology. It's like literally banned. Okay, let's end this poll here. So most of you do not believe that the United Healthcare shooting is real. It's probably because you believe it's programming. End the poll. See if we can end this. Yes, Vance, Palantir. Wait. Do not end the page here. We're trying to end the poll. Okay, it's not going to work. All right, what else is going on, you guys? Now, all of these moves are happening, and Trump isn't even in office yet. But you can tell just from his picks, his cabinet picks, that it's fulfilling much of the things that we've been talking about for the last 5 years. And so it proves that we've been right about a lot of stuff. So we'll just keep tracking it and see what happens. End the poll. Okay, there we go. End the poll. All right. Yep. SS in our faces. And Balky says, Casey for president. Well, because I am a Christian and I believe literally what the Bible says, I wouldn't want that role. Now, would I advise and maybe be a leader to suggest things? Absolutely. Because what we're supposed to do as Christian leaders, right? But I would never take the role of president as a king, because the Bible really doesn't like kings. God sets up kings and deposes them as judgments against the people. We were never meant to have an earthly king. We're meant to have a heavenly king. I think you just broke the chat rules here, so I'm going to put you on timeout. We're having a logical conversation. If you have points that you want to refute, you're welcome to do that. But name calling like a third grader is not allowed. So I'll put you on timeout. I won't block you right away. But tell us the points that you disagree with, and then we can have a discussion instead of name calling. We're only going to be on here a few more minutes, but I'll put 1 minute for you there. All right. Let's pretend like we're adults now and have discussions instead of name calling. All right. What else is going on, you guys? Rebecca still thinks Kamala is going to be the president. Now, unfortunately, you guys, you've got to come out of that. You know, I know there were these channels that swore up and down that they knew that Kamala was going to be president. You're going to have to give that another second thought. If those channels were saying they were inspired by the Holy Spirit and they knew Kamala was going to be president, you might want to double check that. Okay. Because it didn't happen. Now, we knew that Trump would be president again. We said that all the way back when Biden was inaugurated. Remember? And here we are, 4 years later. So we were right about that. And if I was wrong about that, I would expect most of you to probably stop following this channel. But unfortunately, people that made all these promises about the election who were wrong, people still follow those channels. I don't understand that. And they were a lot more matter of fact about it than I was about Trump winning. I said, well, the programming says that he's going to win again. He's got more to do. This isn't the end for him. He'll likely win. And I would say sometimes I could be wrong, but the programming says that he is. When I say programming, I'm talking about all of the predictive programming that we uncovered in TV, commercials. You guys, we went back to McDonald's commercials where Trump was with Grimace. This was back like in the 2000s. And he says, purple is an amazing color. Remember that? We found hundreds of references to Trump, many, many, many more than we found for Obama. We found a few for Obama. The Lion King, that's all. That's the Obama story. They basically made all that up to be a metaphor for the Obama story. But Trump had so much. You guys, there is a cameo of Trump, and this video should have went viral. It's so frustrating. You know, people with so much less information and work, their videos go viral, and I'm just like, what about the decode that we did where literally Trump did a cameo in this movie? Ghosts Can't Do It is the name of the movie. And it had a model in it. In the opening scenes of this movie, a guy gets jabbed in the neck with a hypodermic needle out on a frozen pond. Hello? Frozen vaccine, hypodermic needles. And then later Trump comes in and does this cameo appearance. And this was back in like the 80s. And those decodes just sit at, 5,000, 6,000 people see them. So the programming has gone back all for decades. So the work has been done. We're not just saying, oh, he's a racist or he's this or he's that. That stuff is fruitless. Those kinds of accusations, it's no different than someone coming on here and saying I have Trump derangement syndrome. We're not doing that. I'm showing you like proof, programming. The devil's, all of his devil references in the films. The Devil's Advocate filmed in Trump Tower. The Dark Knight Rises filmed at one of Trump's buildings. The Tower Heist filmed at Trump International Hotel. And why are all his buildings black? It's in our faces, but people are under a strong delusion. They're under some kind of delusion. We even saw Trump World Tower in the Smurfs movie when the Gargamel got released from prison. Well, he jumped over the fence or something, if my memory serves you correctly. And then right after we found that, you see Donald Trump Jr. calling his kids Smurfs. Wow. And it just goes on and on and on. The programming is thick. Well, how about Gremlins 2? About a Chinese virus in the water. Will you add water and the gremlins replicate out of control? And there was a guy named Donald Clamp, which was like Donald Trump. And he was a billionaire. And he married a girl by the name of one of Trump's wives that he hadn't even married yet in the movie. And on and on and on. Hundreds of references. Hundreds. Oh, well, Casey, they were just going after him. Well, how did they know to go after him? How did they know he was going to be president and make a vaccine? How did they know all that? That's not them going after him, because you got to remember the timeline. It would be different if they made these movies after he did all these things. But this was back 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And still people think I have Trump derangement syndrome. No, we're just finding the stuff. And people cannot come to terms with that. It's too crazy for them to believe. They can't believe it. But it's there. These presidents are selected decades in advance. They already know the timeline. They already know it. And yes, the presidents are possessed. Each president is possessed. How do we know this? Because the Bible tells us that the devil rules this world. It tells us in several locations in the Bible. And it says that Satan has control of the kingdoms of the world. This is why he offered them to Jesus as a temptation. He says, all you got to do is do an act of worship to me, and I'll give you the kingdoms of the world. Well, they were his to give. So yes, the presidents are possessed. Someone came on here and said, you wouldn't sound so crazy if you didn't think every president was possessed during the inauguration. I said, do you read your Bible? Do you read your Bible? Because it says it right there. Who's in control of this world? It's just you don't want to believe it because you are idolizing a person or your side. Whether you be a conservative or a liberal, it doesn't matter. They're both wrong. And so you pick your person, you pick your poison, and you live with it and you defend it like a football team. And I always give the example of the Raiders who sucked bad, but people defended their team because why? Because we bought our clothes and our jersey and we have to wear it and our hats, and it became an identity. And therefore you sell out to that identity. You defend it till the end. You think they're going to win every game. And it's no different. This is the reality we live in now. People are not thinking. All they care about is emotional and how they feel about Donald Trump. How they feel about Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. So this is calling out the whole system, not just Trump. It's the entire system that keeps people in ignorance. So hopefully that helps this discussion because, yes, there's no political solution. Yeah, it's all for the best. Someone has to be oppressed. Those are lines from, oh gosh, Godspell, right? Eric says, you just aged yourself, Casey. Yeah, the Raiders. You guys remember the Raiders era? It used to drive me insane until I realized that this is how they mind control people. I was like, the Raiders suck. And they're like, no, they don't. People get in fights over this. Remember all the mass brawls at the Raiders games? Like the spectators would literally get in huge fights because they got their feelings hurt because someone told them the Raiders sucked. Wow. So anyway. Yeah, Godspell was literally a mockery of Jesus Christ. And they did that whole ritual on the top of the Twin Towers. Because remember, the Twin Towers is a metaphor and blasphemy and mockery of the crucifixion. Building 7 represented Jesus in the middle, and the Twin Towers were the two thieves on the right and left of the crucifixion. And I believe Jesus was born on 9/11. So that whole thing was a ritual. They brought the two towers into one. That's what the devil wants to do. He mixed everything together. He mixed politics. Now you got Trump defending LGBTQ rights at his Mar-a-Lago celebration of the Marriage Act. Look it up. It's in the Politico. And you've got politics mixed together. You've got genders all mixed together now. This is what the devil did. He mixed everything together. But the illusion is that they're separate, but they're really not. It's all the same. So, didn't you do a DNA tower combined epi? I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, there was that huge earthquake. That was crazy, right? What was it, 7.5 off the coast of California? First, they thought there was going to be a huge tsunami, and then, like, within an hour, they canceled the tsunami warning. So that was insane. All right. Okay, guys, I guess I'm going to pop off of here. Thanks for showing up. I value every person that comes to this channel. You guys, I love you guys. You guys are stuck with it, and I appreciate that. You know, I know I complain sometimes about us not reaching more people. That's just frustration. I hope that doesn't take away from the people that do show up, because you guys are so important to me, and I love you very much. So, I just wish this very critical information could reach a lot more people so that they could, you know, wake up to all this. No, Christianity is not Gnosticism, James. No, it's not. Now, I can say that the modern form of Christianity is steeped, it's basically been corrupted by the devil. But core Christianity, true Christianity, is not Gnosticism. So, just clarify that. Have a great day, you guys. Much love. Take care.